Hello and welcome back to Global Value. In today's video, we'll be performing a fundamental stock analysis of Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, ticker symbol TSM. So Taiwan Semiconductor is also known as TSMC. It's listed both on the New York Stock Exchange as well as the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. At the time of recording this video, its New York Stock Exchange shares are trading at just over $90. TSMC is down 25% year to date, down about 20% over the past year. However, over 10 years, even with this drawdown, TSMC has produced about a 20% compounded annualized return, far outpacing the S&P 500. So we can see that TSMC is just about $5 over its 52-week low, which is down about $50 from its 52-week high. Here we can see its market cap in Taiwanese dollars. Converting this to US dollars, this is about a $452 billion market cap company. So TSMC is a very large business, one of the largest businesses in the world. For some background about the business, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, is the world's largest dedicated chip foundry, with over 58% market share in 2020 per Gartner. TSMC was founded in 1987 as a joint venture of Philips, the government of Taiwan, and private investors. It went public as an ADR in the United States in 1997. TSMC's scale and high-quality technology allow the firm to generate solid operating margins, even in the highly competitive foundry business. Moreover, the shift to the fabless business model has created tailwinds for TSMC. The foundry leader has an illustrious customer base, including Apple, AMD, and NVIDIA, that looks to apply cutting-edge process technologies to its semiconductor designs. So with that background, let's get right into our fundamental analysis, which will look at TSMC's financials to give us a starting point about how to think about the business. First up, we're looking at its valuation. So ticker is a little off with TSMC's PE ratio, so instead we're going to be using total enterprise value, or EV, to EBIT, which is earnings before interest and tax. This is going to serve as our close proxy to PE. So we can see currently TSMC trades at a 18 times EV to EBIT ratio. Over the last 5 years, this is averaged at about 19.5. So this is going to be a check starting off with pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, we want to evaluate how TSMC is able to earn returns on capital. We want their return on capital to be above 9%. TSMC easily surpasses this metric. Over the last 5 years, their average 5-year return on capital is around this low 20% number. So that's another check on pillar number 2. Next up, pillar number 3, we want to see 5-year revenue growth. So TSMC has grown revenues from $32.9 billion in 2017 to $57.2 billion in 2021. A big check here, they've almost doubled revenues. Scrolling down on their income statement, pillar number 4, we're looking for 5-year net income growth. Coming back up, in 2017, TSMC had $11.6 billion of net income, and that's grown to $21.5 billion of net income in 2021. So again, close to doubling. Both 5-year revenue growth and 5-year net income growth are back-to-back checks on TSMC. Through the first 4 pillars, we've got 4 checks. Next, for pillar number 5, we're looking at shares outstanding. We want TSMC to be buying back shares and decreasing their shares outstanding. However, here we can see the absolute slightest dilution you might ever see. They have almost 26 billion shares outstanding, and over the last 5 years, they've added 80,000 shares outstanding. So this is a slight dilution of only adding 80,000 shares when they have 26 billion shares outstanding. So this is on the smallest technicality. So on the smallest technicality we're likely to ever see, pillar number 5 is going to be an X. That doesn't concern me at all with a business like this. They've been keeping their share count almost entirely flat. So no need to worry about excessive dilution here. Next up, pillar number 6, we want to see 5-year free cash flow growth. So free cash flow is cash from operations minus capital expenditures. Free cash flow is the lifeblood of any business and can be used to pay dividends, buy back shares, pay down debt, make acquisitions, and reinvest back in the company. We can see that both their cash from operations as well as their capex have increased over this time period. Nonetheless, they've still been able to grow their free cash flow from about $8.5 billion in 2017 to about $9.8 billion in 2021. So even though they've more than doubled their capex, their cash from operations has more than doubled, and they've increased their free cash flow. Averaged out over these 5 years, TSMC produces about $8.6 billion of free cash flow a year. That'll be helpful for pillar number 7, where we're evaluating their leverage, as well as pillar number 8, where we're looking at their free cash flow yield compared to their market cap. So pillar number 7, we want their net debt, which is long and short-term liabilities minus cash and equivalents, to be below their 5-year average free cash flow multiplied by 5. So we can see here that TSMC has negative net debt, which means that after paying off all of their liabilities, they're actually left over with $16 billion of cash and equivalents. So that's a big check on pillar number 7. They have a very healthy balance sheet and a very large cash cushion. Finally, the big pillar of them all, pillar number 8, we want their market cap to be below their average 5-year free cash flow multiplied by 20. So currently, their market cap is about $452 billion. Multiplying their average 5-year free cash flow of $8.6 billion times 20 only brings us to $172 billion. So that's going to be an X on pillar number 8. From a free cash flow profile perspective, TSMC is looking a little expensive. One thing to keep in mind when evaluating a business like this that is so heavy on assets is to think about the price that it would cost competitors to build something up to TSMC's scale and to build all these fabs. Brand new fabs cost between $10 and $20 billion, and there are only a handful of businesses in the world that have both the capital as well as the expertise to actively compete with TSMC. So that kind of potential moat is just something to keep in mind as you potentially do more in-depth research about the business. Lastly, I want to take a look at TSMC's dividend. So currently they pay a dividend yield of about 2.2%, which is about 0.7% higher than the S&P right now. So as investors, we don't want to chase dividend yield blindly. Instead, we want to see if they have a healthy and sustainable dividend. One way of figuring that out is to look at their payout ratio. So we ideally want businesses to have a payout ratio of below 60%, and we can see that only in 2019 did they cross this number, although they also came pretty close in 2018. However, currently, their payout ratio, which is the percentage of their earnings that go to their dividend, is only about 45%. So that's a healthy payout ratio, which means that TSMC has plenty of breathing room to pay this above average dividend yield. So in summary, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, checks the box on 6 out of 8 pillars, with it being very, very close to checking the box out of 7 out of 8. Only missing out on the very, very slight dilution and its free cash flow profile not looking up to snuff with its current market cap. So of those two things, the free cash flow is really what you want to look at. Outside of that, TSMC's business has very strong financial fundamentals. A final thing to make note of here is that there's obviously a lot of geopolitical risk. TSMC manufactures almost all of their chips in Taiwan. Between the United States and China, there has been a lot of tension over Taiwan and the Taiwan Strait. China views that as part of historical China, and Taiwan views itself as a independent nation. So ideally, we want to focus on the micro as investors. However, those geopolitical tensions are going to have an impact on this business one way or the other. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're interested in the company and you're thinking about doing more research into the business. So if you are interested in the business, Ticker makes it very easy by providing this link to all their filings. You can easily search for their annual reports and their quarterly filings and do some reading up on the business to learn more. Well guys, that's it for today's video analyzing TSMC, ticker symbol TSM. If you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed learning about TSMC, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more stock analysis videos, and comment down below what business you want me to take a look at next. Thanks for watching to the end and have a great day.